Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, Text number 4. 4 has no purport, so I'll chant by myself, and 5th one we will chant together. Sachatad ashramopavanam atiramaniyam vividha nibidha vitapi vitapa nikara samshlishta purata latharudha sthala vihangama mithunaihi prochyamana shrutibihi pratibhodhyamana salila kukkuta karandava kalahamsadibhir vichitram upakujitamala jalashaya kamalakaram upabhabrama. Translation. The Apsara sent by Lord Brahma began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where the king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because of its dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds such as peacocks, and in a lake there were ducks and swans, all vibrating very sweet sounds. Thus the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and the sweet singing of various kinds of birds. Text 5. Tasyaha sulalita gamana padavinyasa gati vilasayas cha anupadham khana khanayamana ruchira charana abharana swanam upakarnya naradeva kumaraha samadhi yogena amilitha nayana nalina mukula yugalam ishad vikachaya vyachashta tasyaha sulalita gamana padavinyasa gati vilasayaschanupadam khana khanayamana ruchira charanabharana swanam upakarnya naradeva kumaraha samadhi yogena militha nayana nalina mukula yugalam ishat vikachaya vyachashta tasyaha sulalita gamana padavinyasa gati Vilasayaschanupādam khanakhanayamana ruchira charanabharanam svanam upakarnya Naradeva Kumaraha Samadhi Yogena Milita Nayana Nalina Mukula Yugalam Ishad Vikachaya Vyachashta Tasyaha of her Purvachitti Sulalita in a very beautiful Gamana movements Pada Vinyasa with styles of walking Gati in the progression Vilasayaha whose pastime Cha also Anupadam with every step Khana Khanayamana making a tinkling sound Ruchira very pleasing Charana Abharana of the ornaments on the feet Swanam the sound Upakarnya hearing Naradeva Kumaraha the prince Samadhi in ecstasy Yogena by controlling the senses Amilita half open Nayana eyes Nalina of lotus Mukula, buds. Yugalam, like a pear. Ishat, slightly. Vikachaya, opening. Vyachashta, saw. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As Purvachitti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnidra was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half-open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes. And when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Translation with repetition. As Purvachitti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnidra was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half-open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes. And when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that yogis always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within their hearts. Dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always observed by yogis who practice controlling the venomous senses. As recommended in Bhagavad Gita, yogis should practice samprekshya nasika agram, keeping their eyes half open. If the eyes are closed completely, there will be a tendency to sleep. So-called yogis sometimes practice a fashionable form of yoga by closing their eyes and meditating, but we have actually seen such so-called yogis sleeping and snoring while meditating. This is not the practice of yoga. To actually practice yoga, one should keep his eyes half open and gaze at the tip of his nose. Although Agnidra, the son of Priyavrata, was practicing mystic yoga and trying to control his senses, the tinkling sound of Purvachitti's ankle bells disturbed his practice. Yoga Indriya Samyamaha. Actual yoga practice means controlling the senses. One must practice mystic yoga to control the senses. But the sense control of a devotee who fully engages in the service of the Lord with his purified senses, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam, can never be disturbed. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati therefore stated, Durdantendriya kala sarpa patali protkata damshtrayate. The practice of yoga is undoubtedly good because it controls the senses, which are like venomous serpents. When one engages in devotional service, however, completely employing all the activities of the senses in the service of the Lord, the venomous quality of the senses is completely nullified. It is explained that a serpent is to be feared because of its poison fangs. But if those fangs are broken, the serpent, although it seems fearsome, is not at all dangerous. Devotees, therefore, may see hundreds and thousands of beautiful women with fascinating bodily movements and gestures, but not be allured. Whereas such women would make ordinary yogis fall. Even the advanced yogi Vishwamitra broke his mystic practice to unite with Menaka and beget a child known as Shakuntala. The practice of mystic yoga, therefore, is not sufficiently strong to control the senses. Another example is Prince Agnitra, whose attention was drawn to the movements of Purvachitti, the Apsara, simply because he heard the tinkling of her ankle bells. In the same way that Vishwamitra Muni was attracted by the tinkling bangles of Menaka, Prince Agnitra, upon hearing the tinkling bangles of Purvachitti, immediately opened his eyes to see her beautiful movements as she walked. The prince was also very handsome. As described herein, his eyes were just like the buds of lotus flowers. As he opened his lotus-like eyes, he could immediately see the Apsara was present by his side. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading about the activities of Maharaj Agnitra, son of Priyavrata, and we are seeing that part where he's performing austerities, yoga, all of this, desiring to have a good child. And there, when he is in the forest, beautiful forest, nice birds, clear water lakes, and there he is practicing. It's a perfect environment for meditation. But Lord Brahma, knowing his desire, has sent an Apsara. And this Apsara, by name Purvachitti, Sulalita Gamana Padavinyasa Gati, very beautiful movements of her feet, Vilasayaha, and in a very enjoying mood, Anupadham Khana Khanayamana, and with every step her tinkling bells of Ruchira Charana Abharana of her ankle bells, Ruchira, very sweet, Ruchira Charanabhara Swanam, sound was very sweet. Upakarnya, he heard. Agnidra was doing meditation, but he heard the sound. Naradeva Kumaraha, that's Prince Agnidra, He was practicing mystic yoga, and he was samadhi yogena amilita nayana, and his eyes, as per the yoga practice, his eyes were shut, not fully, partially, and his beautiful eyes, nayana nalina mukula yugalam ivikachaya, he opened. He was meditating, but he opened because he heard Ruchira Charana Bharana Swanam Upakarnya, he heard. And Vyachashta, he saw Purvachitti was there. As Purvachitti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style, Tasyaha Sulalita Gamana Padavinyasa Gati, and mood of her own, Gati Vilasaya, with her own style, walking, and with her own mood of enjoying, of her own. The pleasing ornaments, Ruchira Charana Bharana, on her ankle bells, tinkled with every step. Kana Kanayamana, Anupadam Kana Kanayamana. Although Prince Agnidra was controlling his senses, Samadhi Yogena, with half-opened eyes, Amilita Nayana, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes, Nalina Mukula Yugalam. And when he heard Upakarnya, the sweet tinkling of her bangles, Kana Kanayamana, he opened his eyes slightly more. Nalina Mukula Nayana Nalina Mukula Yugalam Ishat Vikachaya, slightly open, and could see Vyachashta, that she was just nearby. So, Srila Prabhupada is talking about in the purport about the mystic yogis and how people practice yoga in this age, and they try to do meditation and close their eyes and calm their body, at least physically. And invariably what happens is they go into sleep and snoring. Prabhupada often talks about it. Actually, it's a fact. I remember when I was in high school, my parents had all the family had gone on a South India tour. And we had gone to Kanyakumari as part of the thing, the tip of India. And there is a rock memorial, and a lot of people go there. That's part of the sightseeing. I remember going there, and there is one, at least it was there, I don't know now how it is, some 30, 40 years back probably I'm talking about. So there is a big statue of Vivekananda, and it's a dark room, pretty much dark, not very dark, light, less light. And these tourists who go very reverentially, you know how our Indians are, we are very reverential. We all go and sit there. And there also it says silence, maintain silence. So you go in, it's very silent, cool, lights are off. And then generally people sit there, and it's meant for meditation. It's called meditation hall or something. So everybody goes and sits for a few minutes. So all the people in the tour, all of us, we were sitting. I was actually with one more friend of mine. He was also, two of us were schoolmates, college mates or schoolmates. So we were, just looking around and everyone. But then, as people were sitting and so-called meditation, we could hear somebody. But everyone is very decent and you don't talk about it. But we were two of us, we were looking at each other, and then we came out. So it's actually a fact. It's Prabhupada is saying this. And Prabhupada is saying we have got experience. This Prabhupada must have seen some things or heard something or experienced something. So, these processes of yoga, it is not recommended for this age. What is recommended for this age is Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam. Kalau nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyatha. See, the thing is that our acharyas in Srila Prabhupada, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, tremendous faith in the words of the Vedic literatures. This is something very special. I have interacted with many, even Vaishnava scholars of other Sampradayas. They say, yes, holy name, but then they don't take that holy name, chanting of the holy name, very seriously. They chant something, but they don't take it very seriously, the way our acharyas, because it is said, no other way, no. What more can you say? How much more can the Shastras declare this? No other way, no other way, no other way, other than the chanting of Harinam. So these are very practical things. I have also personally experienced, I don't know, I've told this story sometime. Once I was traveling, and there was a person sitting next to me, and a pious man. And he was all very excited seeing, oh, Swamiji, so nice, I am so fortunate, I am sitting next to you. And he said all that. And I said, it was an early morning. So early morning, I knew I had to chant my rounds. And then he saw me chanting, very nice, Swamiji. Even I do meditation. I said, I didn't want to talk too much with him. I wanted to chant my rounds. I knew I've got long day. So I said, yeah, very nice. And then being inspired by me, he sat like this. And I was just watching, and I said, and then he closed his, and then I was chanting. And then after about half an hour or 45 minutes, I saw what he was doing. That straight, stiff arms had become relaxed. And then I slowly looked at him because I didn't want to see his face in case he looks at me or something. And then I looked at his face, and nicely for about 1.5 hours he slept. And after that he woke up, and then he saw me, and then I asked him, so meditation was good? He said, yes, Swamiji, nice meditation. So actually this is what is actually, people don't know really what is meditation. They mistake sleeping nicely and snoring for meditation. It's very sad. In our country, people are very simple, respectful, religious, pious, but they are misdirected. So, all this shows that we have an important responsibility to give the correct knowledge, correct practice to people. They are very ready, but they are getting misled. So this happens, it's not at all unusual. And that's why Prabhupada mentions this many times, sleeping and snoring in the name of meditation. And next, Srila Prabhupada is talking about something very interesting. That the senses, yoga indriya samyamaha. Actual yoga practice means controlling the senses. But, modern day yoga practices, they don't talk about that at all. Yoga is very, very famous. It's become very famous all over the world. I've heard it's some $1 billion industry in the world. So, it's become very popular. But what is the yoga that they talk about? It's not about indriya samyamaha. It is simply to improve their health, stress level, so that they can enjoy life in this world, enjoy their senses. It's completely opposite. So anyway, the people misunderstand all these things. And then Prabhupada is quoting Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakura's one verse. Durdantendriya kala sarpa patali protkhata dhamshrayate. In this verse, Durdanta indriya kala sarpa patali. The senses are compared to kala sarpa. And here and in many other places, Prabhupada has commented, the senses, Durdanta indriya. Durdanta means uncontrolled senses. Senses which are very powerful and they are uncontrolled. And if the senses are powerful and uncontrolled, they are like kala sarpa. Why is the comparison to a serpent? It is because a serpent is very dangerous. And when serpent comes, it doesn't make much noise and come. Right? It doesn't make footsteps so that you can become alert. No, it slithers. Right? You'll never know. And suddenly the snake is there and can bite. So Prabhupada says, senses are compared to a snake because they are very powerful and any moment they can attack. So we have to be very careful with the senses. So as yogis, as spiritualists, as devotees, this is the guidance that we should be very careful with the senses. A little inattention to our practices can lead to havoc. And that is just like a snake. You'll never know. And it is there. And it can attack. And it is poisonous, venomous snake. It can be fatal. So, senses durdantendriya kala sarpa patali. There are not just one snake, one sense. We have a patali, a group of senses. Indriya patali, group of senses. And they are like durdantendriya kala sarpa patali. So snake is something to be feared, and there are many interesting pastimes with Srila Prabhupada also, where there were some encounters of devotees encountering snakes. Once Srila Prabhupada was in 1974, October, Kartik month. He was spending 1 month in Mayapur. And those days, it's not like it is now. There were only a few buildings, only 2 buildings, 2 or 3 buildings maybe. The Lotus building and the Long building. Yeah, only 2 buildings were there. The other 3rd building also came later, and now there are many more buildings. It was all paddy fields around. You could see long stretch of green paddy fields. And Srila Prabhupada was housed in the 2nd floor. And that entire floor was left for Prabhupada and his entourage of his few other devotees who were traveling with him, because Prabhupada was going to stay for a month there. So Prabhupada was there in the 2nd floor in his quarters, and then there was a few other rooms and the other devotees were staying. And at the end of the one end of the building, there were many toilets, and that toilet only Prabhupada was using. So one afternoon, Srila Prabhupada was sitting and he was with a few devotees. Actually, when Prabhupada, there are many, many devotees who recall the presence of Prabhupada was very special. It created a very intense spiritual atmosphere around him. There was a kind of a spiritual energy emanating. Many devotees have described that. Pure devotee, presence in the presence of Krishna, carrying Krishna in his heart. Very special. And so Prabhupada, being on the second floor of that building, surrounded by paddy fields in Mayapur, and the cool breeze from the Ganga, you can imagine how tranquil it must have been. And Prabhupada was speaking to few devotees, and the devotees were enjoying the association of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada had one servant by name Shrutakirti, and he was attending to different Prabhupada services. And then he went to the bathroom to clean the bathroom, and there he saw one big 6 feet long snake slithering right in front of him. He came out scared. Snakes are very scary. And a big one he saw. But then he controlled himself because Prabhupada was there and he's sitting with the devotees. So silently he went past, and then he was looking around for another devotee. Another devotee was a leader in Mayapur. At that time I saw a snake. It was this long and I just missed it. It was just in front of me. And so that devotee he also got alarmed. But then he started, oh, snake. He became very... And then he went straight into Prabhupada's room, opened the door. Srila Prabhupada, there's a snake in your bathroom. So everyone was shocked naturally, and Prabhupada was calm. And then naturally the whole association, everything was disturbed. The devotees got up and they came out to the veranda, and they were all thinking what to do. And then they remembered there's one devotee who is a strong Kshatriya devotee in the temple. We should call him. And they said, yes, let's go call him. And in a few minutes, that devotee arrived there. He had a knife in his hand. And he was very brave, like Kshatriya devotee. And so he said, where is it? And they said, in the bathroom, Prabhupada's bathroom. So he said, okay. Holding on, he was walking and all. And then Prabhupada was watching all this. So much excitement among the devotees. Prabhupada was in the veranda. He came to the veranda and he was chanting peacefully, looking at all of them here and there, what the excitement going on. And then someone said, how can the snake come to the second floor? Prabhupada was hearing. Someone said, maybe Gaudiya Math people put the snake. All kinds of speculation. So Prabhupada was not bothering. Then someone else said, no, maybe the communists have put the snake, because communists were the ruling party in West Bengal. And all kinds of speculation. And then he was going into the bathroom, and he said, Shrutakirti, you saw a snake or a pair of snakes? He said, no, I saw one snake. And he said, no, snakes usually come in a pair. So everyone became even more scared. And so he walked in, he looked around, and then he found the snake, hit the snake, killed it. He announced, I'm seeing the snake here. Then some of them said, kill it. And then he killed the snake. And then he came out. And then he said, the snake is killed. But there is another snake. So once again he went and he was looking around. And then he found amidst the pipes and plumbing pipes, there was another snake. And because of the disturbance, the other snake went down. And he came and announced, yes, there was a second snake, but that snake went down. And then they realized it has come up the plumbing pipes. It's not Gaudiya Math or Communist Party or anything. And then, so everybody dispersed. They went down, and by then it went down and went into the paddy fields. They couldn't find. So all the devotees came back to Srila Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada was saying, yes, the snakes are very known to be revengeful. Cobras are revengeful. And then Prabhupada said, yes, if a snake wants to kill some person, bite somebody, it will come after him, And if the snake doesn't find it in his old age, if he has not taken its revenge, it will develop wings, fly and come and be after that person and kill that person, bite. So when the devotees heard all that, Prabhupada is saying revenge. And so they thought that we have killed the mate and that other snake must be very angry. And now what will happen? And all such speculations were going on. And then that day passed, and then that Shrutakirti came back in the night, and Prabhupada was about to rest, and he was massaging his feet. And then Prabhupada very playfully asked, so what if the snake comes back? So Shrutakirti was also very, Americans, their snake is very dangerous. They are very scared of snakes. And India, tropical snakes and all, they're very scared. So he said, I also don't know, Prabhupada, what to do. So I said, we are not afraid of snake bite. Don't worry. If it comes, it comes. We will chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada went off to sleep. So he saw how Prabhupada so fearless and peacefully he went off to sleep. So he came back. And he also slept. The next few days people were still looking out, will the snake come back? The other one. And anyway, it went off like that. So the idea is that snakes are dangerous, and the Shastras compare, our Acharyas compare our senses to be like snakes. And so how careful we must be about our senses. And another interesting thing that Srila Prabhupada points out, this is a very nice verse by Prabodhananda Saraswati. It's about Krishna consciousness. And it's a comparison of bhakti, the process of bhakti, and the process of other yogas like mystic yoga, dhyana yoga. In dhyana yoga, which even Maharaj Agnidra was doing, there is all these warnings about controlling the senses and how you should close your eyes half, nasikagra, meditate on the tip of the nose, and these practices exist. But there are many instances of somebody getting easily disturbed. Like Vishwamitra got disturbed, Agnidra is getting disturbed. Then here Prabhupada is pointing out the difference between the mystic yoga process of sense control and its potency and success in sense control compared to devotional service, bhakti yoga. And Prabodhananda Saraswati says, Durdantendriya kala sarpa patali protkhata damshtrayate. Damshtra means the fangs, the teeth, the fangs of the serpent. Protkhata. In the case of a devotee who is practicing devotional service, for him, although he has senses, and the senses are, and he is dealing with the senses, because Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. A bhakta, a devotee, is using his senses in the service of the Lord. Oh, using the senses in the service, the sense, but they're like serpent. They have a fang, poisonous fang. How can he engage with the senses? Yes, because protkhata damshtrayate. Utkata. Utkata means to pull out. Utkata means fully pulled out, completely pulled out. So when the serpent, its fangs are removed, it is no more a fearful thing. Just like we have our snake charmers in our country. They'll have a small basket and they'll have a snake, a cobra, and they bring it out, and then you can see the cobra with its hood up. And then he'll be picking it up, winding it up, putting it into the basket, closing. Not at all afraid, because he has removed the fangs. Utkhatadam protkhatadam shtrayate. So, the process of devotional service to Krishna pulls out the fangs of the poisonous, fangs of the venomous snake-like senses. What does that mean? That means the senses themselves are not dangerous. The snakes themselves are not dangerous, because if they are protkata, damshtrayate, there you can be fearless. So it is the fang of the paw of the snake that is dangerous. So the fangs of the senses in our comparison is, it is the enjoying tendency. The desire to enjoy, the desire to lord over, that tendency is the poisonous feature of the senses. So pure devotional service meaning pure devotional service, completely a devotee is freed from that enjoying spirit, enjoying tendency. That is why, even though he is playing with his senses, using his senses, it doesn't matter. That is the power of pure bhakti. It can, a pure devotee of that stage, he is enjoying tendency, he has become free from the enjoying tendency. And hence, he can work around with the senses and he can be fearless. So that is the power. So when you do bhakti, protkhata damshtrayate, it has the ability to fully free the living entity from all illusion and the illusion that I am an enjoyer. Pure bhakti does that. Mystic yoga does that to some extent, not complete and not as powerful, not as effective in this age, and not as completely as bhakti does. And hence, pure devotional service of developing love for Krishna is the safest and the complete process compared to other yoga methods. So other yoga methods also help to control the senses, but in this age, they are not all that very effective. So, Prabhupada is practicing. The practice of yoga is undoubtedly good because it controls the senses, which are like venomous serpents. Now, very often Prabhupada does this. He compares the different methods of yoga and then he says the method of devotion. When one engages in devotional service, however, completely employing all the activities of the senses in the service of the Lord, the venomous quality of the senses is completely nullified. The venomous quality of the senses is nullified. Utkayate, protkata damshtrayate. So it has been removed because he has replaced it with his intention to serve the Lord. And that is a very important factor for the practice of Yukta Vairagya, because we not only want to practice devotional service ourselves, we also want to preach. We want to work in this world. We want to be in the midst of people and spread Krishna consciousness. That's also the mission of our spiritual master. So, in our society, we deal with money, we deal with activities, we deal with assets, we deal with properties, we deal with people. Lot of things, engagement of our senses with the material world, quite a bit. And so, if we are freed from the venomous quality of the senses, we can freely, happily be working and not fear at all. So we have to come to that position of becoming purified of the desire to enjoy. That verse in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Nivritta tarshai rupagi yamana. That verse, that expression, Nivritta Tarshaihi. Tarshaihi, it comes from the word Trishna. Trishna means hankering. I must enjoy, I must enjoy. A devotee is Nivritta Tarshaihi. He is retired. Nivritta means retirement, right? He is retired from enjoying. In other words, the devotee's attitude must not be, I will somehow enjoy my senses and also be doing devotional service and all bhakti and spiritual life. No, he has given up hopes. He has given up aspiration. Or at least he wants to give up his aspiration. He does not want, he has no confidence that no, I will manage my life, my material life. I will make this adjustment. I'll make that adjustment. Then I'll become very happy in this. That kind of a thinking, nivritta. He has retired. We are supposed to retire from such thinking. Then, nivritta tarshair upagiyamanat. Then we can chant Krishna's name. We can do Krishna Kirtana very nicely. That spirit of enjoyment. And the conditioned soul, the spirit of enjoyment manifests in so many ways. Gross ways, subtle ways, less gross, in different ways. And bhakti, pure devotional service, by the mercy of the spiritual master, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, protkhatadam shtrayate, we can become completely, fully defanged. Then the senses we can freely work with the senses. This instruction, protkata dhamshtrayate, especially important for all of us, and we have to practice this. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.